Welcome to Tackle Fanatics TV, and in this episode of TFTV, Dynamite's Nick Speed takes a look at their mega margin mix.
Right, it's coming to the summertime now where margin fishing plays a big part in catching a lot of fish. So today, for example, I'm in an open water swim, and down the margin is one of the only areas in my swim, if I wasn't to fish shallow on the pole, where I could get to the correct depth of water. The margin, as we all know, is the area where we're going to catch a lot of big fish, and if fed correctly we will target and select those better fish coming into the edge feeding. So this is where using the right mix is really important. Dynamite have brought a new product out, which is the XL margin mix, and to be honest with you, it's absolutely brilliant. I've been using it whilst the weather's warmed up, and it's allowed me to use it. I've been catching a lot of fish with it. Really good mixer, and it's got a lot of particle feed in it as well. So it's a 2 kilo bag. So you've got enough there for a session, and as well as that, as I've said, there's a lot of particles in it, so you don't need to riddle it. It's a nice shade as well, and out of all the testing that we've done, especially with the red krill coming in last year, we found that actually quite a red ground bait does make a big difference when feeding fish, you know, especially down the margins. We're targeting fish that want to feed and they want some bait. So red seems to really attract a lot of fish into your swim. As I say, there's no need to riddle this ground bait. Just mix it into a bucket, add some water, and that's it, it's job done. So in theory, if you mix it in advance, that's great, and give it time to rest, and you want a nice damp mix so it's heavy. But you can also mix half of it up and save the other half in case you don't need to use it. You don't have to mix it all up at once. A great addition to adding to this mix is boilie chops. They come in 2 different flavours, come in fish meal and sweet and fruity. Perfect particles for adding to a mix, load of big particles, and heavy as well, which means when you're feeding them in your ground bait down the margins, they're not going to move on the bottom, they're going to stay there. So at least while your ground bait's wafting about, you've always got loose fed particles within your ground bait that are stationary and where you want that bait to be. So remember that, because it'll be a good point to remember, especially when you're feeding ground bait down the margins in deep swims. The whole idea of using a heavy mix, today for example, my peg's down the margin, the shallowest part I can find is 3 foot. So I do need a heavy mix to ensure that a lot of my bait is getting to the bottom, which is giving the fish reason to follow the bait down. So mixing your ground bait is quite important. How we mix it is even more so. Today I've mixed the ground bait quite damp because of the depth of my swim. I want to ensure that my bait's getting down to the bottom and staying down. So when I've got fish feeding in the swim, they're actually not wafting it up through the water column, which is taking fish off the bottom. And as a result, what you'll find is if your mix is too dry, that's when you get a problem with line bites and false indications. By keeping it quite wet, you'll find that you'll minimise the amount of false indications you get, and you'll hook more fish in the mouth, which is what we're trying to achieve. So here's some I mixed up earlier, and as you can see, it's a lovely red colour. I've mixed it up quite heavy, added quite a bit of water, and just mixed it with my hand on the bank side. There's no need to use a power drill with this, just mix it up. Before you get to, you know, the first thing I do is when I get to my peg, just mix a bit up. Quite a heavy mix, as you can see, quite easily form into a ball, but we're going to be loose feeding it through a cup, actually loose, and just pressing the ground bait into a pole pot like so, pressing it down and popping it out so it forms like a loose ball on the surface. So that's the mix. So my advice to you is go into your local tackle shop and give it a go. You'll be impressed with the results. It's a brilliant ground bait and it will catch you a load of fish. So best of luck and tight lines.
Many thanks for tuning to this episode of Tackle Fanatics TV. Tackle Fanatics stock a huge range of Dynamite baits at the best prices around. We also offer a vast selection of other baits from all the leading manufacturers. To view our range, log on to www.tacklefanatics.co.uk. Tight lines and wet nets from everybody at TFTV.